No, yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Gibson. It's a pleasure, of course, seeing all of you again today. Thank you for joining our live stream with Bobbi. This is our 12th session. We are not traditional therapists by any stretch of the imagination. However, we are Michael Gibson. It's a pleasure. Of course, we're here getting that studio backlash, so do apologize. But we are norm therapists, and it's a discipline that I've created over the past few decades of my life, sometimes over long periods of time and other times intermittently, but it's been a labor. And I'm looking forward, of course, I'm looking forward, of course, to providing a lot of good intel to you. Sorry about that. We have some studio problems here, but I hope you hear me well. I think one of my people have their mic on somewhere, and that's causing some interference. Okay, then I need to figure out where that echo is coming from and remove it. Okay, now we're going to be inviting Bobbi in a couple of seconds. But now that we have some of these problems out of the way, are there any more echoes? Okay, now that we have some of these problems out of the way, I think we can go ahead and proceed. I had my screen over here of a bigger screen that I'm looking over at our views. Actually, it was on at the same time. Do apologize. But I look forward, of course, to talking today with Bobbi. We have a lot of things to catch up on. We'll edit all this out in the back office later before we post. But also, becoming a norm therapist is probably one of the best things. A lot of folks who have gone through it have said it's been one of the most rewarding courses they've ever taken. It's demanding. It teaches them not only a lot about patience and, of course, the discipline when dealing with abuse victims, but also it teaches them a lot about themselves and a lot about what actually happens to people in the world and how they remedy their situations of abuse. We go into great detail in our course. It's almost a 6-month course with an additional 6 months in probation, where you're actually dealing with victims of abuse and survivors. And we're starting a cohort probably this January. If not January, it'll definitely be in February. So if you want to sign up, go to normtherapy.com or go to goarrow.org and sign up and find out more information. And if you need norm therapy by any stretch of your desire, please sign up on norm therapy or Go Arrow again. And Arrow, ARO, stands for abuserefuge.org. And that's the long title of the site. And sign up for sessions there. Okay, without any further ado, I'm going to call Bobbi in. Bobbi, are you there?
Oh, I am.
Hey, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. Sorry about all the technical difficulties. That echo thing just would not go away.
Was it? Well, it might have been me, and I apologize if it was.
No, it's okay. That's things you can do something about, you do it. And things you can't, screw it. That's been my advice to many people across the world. Things you can do something about, you do it. The rest, screw it. And you live by that, and then you don't hit your head against the wall 1,000 times trying to get the same old thing, tried and accomplished or not accomplished. You stop running into that brick wall. So how was your week, or a few days, I should say? How was it? What's going on in your life?
Well, I can start with my immediate family. I can start with my church family. I can start with wherever.
It is up to you. Life is yours.
So, well, I got a call to start on Monday rather than Tuesday with my job. So that was exciting.
Yeah.
That's, and I think Monday is a holiday. So it's going to be a lot of personalized training, I believe.
Right.
So that was exciting for me. And then personal with my daughter, she did call me and wish me good morning. Could I help
you folded
get the
clothes for?
tags?
Did you fold any clothes yet?
I did. I
Hey,
did.
so she called you. Were you able to deliver any of those bags to her, by the way? Or was
No,
it
I'll get them down there this weekend. I'll get
okay?
them down there this weekend after church.
Good.
And she needed me to help her get the tags of the truck renewed. So
Right.
I don't know if that's why she called me and it was so good morning-ish or what the case, whatever. I took it as a good morning because that made me feel better.
Yeah, not
Um,
everything is a plot. Even
yeah.
though she's in need, she is your daughter, and who else
Mhm.
is she going to call if you just look at it that way?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, parents feel like they're being put in a position of affront where, um, they're every time they hear from their child, they want something. You know, sometimes when I see the phone ring and it's my ex-wife, oh my God, here's something, there's something, but it's not. She's not wrong. No matter how I may dislike our relationship now or how things go, she's not wrong for calling me because I am the father of my children. You are the mother of your children. And who else is she going to call? You know,
Yeah.
uh, but if your history is that you shun her or you give that initial thought of, oh my God, what is it? What do they want? If you give that, then you're shucking your role and responsibility as grandma, mom, as matriarch, as the rule maker and not the rule breaker. You're uh, you're putting them in a position where they feel guilty to talk to you, and they shouldn't have to. No matter what they've done in the past, no matter what terrible person they became or great person they've become, doesn't matter. You're still mom, and you
And
will
vice
always be.
versa. Don't that work the other way
Yes,
around too?
it does. It does. But here's the thing: the rights that we have in any relationship are born out of participation. It doesn't matter with your boss. When you first walk in with your new boss this Monday, and you're there on a holiday, which shows that you're a real trooper and you're helping out and you're being a part of the solution and not the problem. And people can see that you're being patient with people. You're using your wisdom and experience. You're being affable and nice and caring and kind and empathetic and you sometimes being stern and difficult as you should be when you're dealing with difficult situations and people sometimes. And you're doing all that. So what happens? Your boss sees that today or Monday. Then he sees another version of it on Wednesday, which is pretty much the same, but you're in a great mood Wednesday. And then by next week, next Monday and Tuesday, he's starting to get accustomed, or she is, it doesn't matter, starting to get accustomed to Bobbi, that Bobbi exists, and this is Bobbi's, shtick. This is her thing. This is who she is. And he's going to start to appreciate you more and more and more. And you, for being appreciated, you're going to feel better about it. You're going to start feeling gratitude. Not only that I have a job and I can subsist and make money and be okay, but I have gratitude now. People appreciate me, and I appreciate being here, and I appreciate being with them. You're probably saying to yourself by then. Now, all of that is that earned respect. Oftentimes, your children, Bobbi, didn't go through that with you, where they had an opportunity to earn your respect, or you earn, because it's a two-way street, theirs. And a lot of parents in the world believe that all I have to do is say to you, I'm your mother, and that's why I told you to do it. And that's never enough. In the history of the world, it has never been enough. I'm not trying to admonish you. I'm just telling for our audience as well as you, and not in an admonishing way. I'm being what they call emphatically clear. Not mad. I'm
Yeah.
not upset. Okay, good. I want you to get the difference because we're going to talk about that in a while too. But there's a difference here. You have to, in the two-way street, earn her respect because you weren't there for many years where she needed you, where she needed to feel appreciated by you. She needed to feel like, Mommy, I'm doing something wrong. Can you help me? And you actually be there to say, listen, child, if I were you, I wouldn't do that. What I would do is probably this. Let's take a look at it. Remember that? plural thing we talked about, the
Yeah, yeah,
us, we, how do we fix things? Let's take a look at it and let's move on. That's why when I hear parents say, and I hear it all the time, well, I'm their dad or I'm their mom, and that's why I said it. And that has never been enough. And that's why people go uh, off their path often, because what children, no matter if they're 50 years old or 5 years old, what they always want from their parents is the information, the guidance. You've always been that beacon, whether it's of hope or terror or that beacon of loss or gain, whatever it is, you've been that mom all of this time. And it's not your fault in a sense that when you're gone, you're gone. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, it was your fault that you went into prison. Yes, that was your fault. And I think you know that.
yeah,
But you never stop trying. But with that try, and to assume back the role where she stops talking and she listens, and then she follows your lead and she respects your lead, and she makes sure that you feel good about the actions that she take. You have to earn that back. And through tolerance and patience, understanding, the same thing you're going to do for the people you're about to help in your new job. You need to give
yeah.
that to them, because that is what she needs to catapult her into a place where you and her or she will be comfortable and able to start that dialogue that you've otherwise missed out on for so much time.
Yeah.
Folding the clothes, I'm talking you to death in the first few minutes because I want to hear you talk me to death about what you're going to do about it. Sometimes when we complain, which you have every right to do, but let's make sure we're complaining about something we can't do anything about. I think that's the only time a person should ever complain in life, is when they can't do something about it. But when they can do something about it, and you're quite capable of doing a lot about a lot of things, Bobbi, then that doesn't require a complaint. What it requires is clarity, being emphatically clear. And I think people misread you. I really do. I think your idea of life is so genuine to just be straightforward and really clear. And some people take you as being mad or ready to have an argument or ready to be antagonistic or mean. And that's probably not the case with you.
And typically it isn't. I am just I think that my passion for my new way of life gets kind of distorted with aggression. So I'm always very careful. Like if I'm taller than the person I'm talking to, I'll say, "Hey, let's sit down for a minute." Just because naturally that, you know, you want to be there, right there, eye level. You don't want to be taller or shorter, or that means you're right here with me. Let's talk
Mhm.
about this.
You're seeing eye to
Um,
eye.
yeah. So I've learned over the years a lot of different, things to do or ways to make people comfortable. Or if I see they're a little standoffish, like, make a joke or what I call an icebreaker that just kind of breaks that. I don't know what she's going to say or do, or
Breaks the
because
tension.
then it goes back to the look.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I try to smile a lot or laugh a lot more, which I have been more lately, laughing and joking and playing uh and that hasn't came easy in my life because I wasn't allowed to, unless it was by myself in my room with my stuffed animals, and I had a whole
Aren't,
facade of a world going on.
aren't you
So,
intimidating?
huh?
Aren't you intimidating to some people?
Of course I am.
Yeah, exactly. You have I don't want to call it uh, anything other than what it is. So we'll call it, you have the moxie. You have that, I will take your head off your shoulders kind of look, as well as you've probably had to be in those kinds of circumstances in your life uh, in order to survive. So that permeates it leaks into your life, and people feel that, and so that they feel they have to be walking around with their chest poked out, ready to do battle with you instead of listening to you. So when you are being demure and offset to people, and you have to reduce your footprint a little bit because you are intimidating, and then you have to come eye to eye with people and find balance in that exchange of information. When you're doing these things, it can help and hurt you. And there's a few things you can do to move it around, because, there's a thing called telegraphing. And I just did a segment on it today, which we'll be publishing. But telegraphing is when you flinch at something that happens, or you're in a circumstance where you're having to respond to something in an automatic or axiomatic way, where maybe you're always looking over your shoulders and you're trying to find if somebody's a would-be abuser will come up to you. It's not just being vigilant, it's almost hyper vigilant, like too much situational awareness. And you're exhibiting those kinds of traits because that's what tough people do. They're always checking their boundaries, their parameters. They're always making sure they got the right face on. And all of these things are who make Bobbi, or what make Bobbi Bobbi. But other people see them and they don't interpret them like you do, like in a survival mode. They don't look at you like you're in a survival mode. They're looking at themselves like, I have to be in a survival mode just to deal with you because you are in your survival mode. And you telegraph that to people. You make them understand that how you feel is written right on your sleeves. And at 0 to 60 that you do real quick to get angry, that is what that flashpoint, that trigger, that's what they're looking for in you every single time if they have any history with you when they're trying to have a conversation. So basically what they're doing is walking on eggshells to talk with you. Now, there's a way you can get all of that done and still be, the tough chick that you are, if you don't mind me saying that. It just sounds good, tough chick. The tough woman that you are, I'll say that without the diminutive. But the way to accomplish that, there's a better way, much better way. If you like to hear it, I'll give you 1 minute to show you. Instead of ever telling people, because I am. I think you know the Bible. It says I am, and the only entity on the planet should say I am is God. It can never be about just because I am Bobbi, or just because I am mother, or just because I am grandmother, and this is why I want you to do it. Because people, no one, or I'm boss, just because I'm your boss, just because I'm your best friend or your father. It can never be about that. It must always be because I have a role to play with you. And it should be based on your role that you have your relationships. So you'll have to start saying and doing things and inviting people towards you by saying something like, yeah, I think it's a good idea that you clean your room, because while cleaning your room, we can get in there and get all the old stuff out of there. I think mold, when it's in a place where you've not cleaned it for a while, if you're hoarding or something like that, it's going to cost not only you to be sick, it's the whole house is going to be sick. So you're not trying to justify to anybody anything. You're just sharing with them your emphatically clear concerns. So you don't have to be Bobbi to make that happen. You have to be clear, and you have to be courteous. And you have, and 100%, you have to also give them an opportunity to speak. Even though you are 100% correct that mold or roaches or whatever can accumulate as a result of a less than tolerable environment will accumulate. You're right. But in their heads, remember, they're probably acting in defiance to you because they don't think you've earned the right to tell them to do that, even if they're under your roof. And it's not their fault that they think this way. it's because you weren't there. They had to come up with their own rationale and way of thinking in order to accommodate how they were living or surviving or not. And so now you come in with a better opportunity, a better situation, a better way to think, a better way to do it. And they don't hear it. They can't hear it until you make it clear and you be consistent over time with that effort, Bobbi. And I think that'll disarm any situation. But if you're going to be the tough woman, then you're going to be in tough circumstances mostly. So sometimes you have to let your guard down so you can avoid those tough situations and make an otherwise tough situation simple to handle. And I think, go ahead.
I feel like every time that I do try to let my guard down, especially with my people in my home, I get the short end of the stick every single time.
But that's not, you mean they come back at you and they argue your point and they try to make you feel bad about what you just said? You mean you get that?
Yeah.
You know what that's called? You want to know what that's called? It's called normal. See, you're not accustomed to that normal, Bobbi. No, listen.
I'm not going to feel bad every single time.
You shouldn't. That's not what I'm saying. But because you're taking it in the light of, why are they lashing out at me for trying to make something good happen or making them follow a rule or a set of parameters that'll keep us all safe, keep us all clean, keep us all, moving forward and productive. Why are they fighting against me? And honestly,
yeah.
Let me ask you a question, and then we'll put this in perspective. Then we'll go to another topic because I want to do that.
Okay.
But when you went back to prison, any of the one of the times, and let's say you went to the same prison, and some of the same people were there that knew you, that shared coffee with you. You see in the movies they make homemade coffee in your rooms or tea, and you sat around and you had good conversations. And you confided in some of them and they confided in you. Did you have to, when you went back, did you have to re-earn your credit with them? No, you did not, because they knew Bobbi. They had spent more time with Bobbi than your children had spent with Bobbi. They spent more time with Bobbi than your grandchildren, that most of them you probably didn't even get to see to be born. They spent more time with Bobbi than even your husband would have spent with you. You get it? So you didn't have to go back every time you went to prison and re-earn their credit, your credit with them. You had, I don't want to call it street credit, but you had prison credit, street credit. They knew you were not to be screwed with. They knew you were a tough chick, woman. They knew that you understood certain things that you violate. They knew that you understood loyalty, not being a snitch, and all the other things that go with that life. They knew it and they could depend on it. And they made their decisions about you as a result of it. You have to bring that same kind of effort into your personal life, where the people there, they have to have credit too with you. They have to know that you're this way. Not just because you tell them, or just because you're the head of the family, or just because I'm the boss. It has to be because they know. They know your credit at home. And you're building your credit. That's all you did in prison. You build your credit, you met the right people, you got in the right situations where you survived. And you probably thrived in some areas, knowing you. So, same thing with your daughter. Just to make that correlation, I want you to just think about that for a minute. You're not wrong, Bobbi, not by any stretch. And I'm not saying that on any level. But what you are is not yet enough informed about what to do to take over the mantle, the leadership of the family. You've just had to do it out of just grit, as you called it. You had to do it out of sheer grit, and I'm the mom, and I've seen it done before, and I'm going to get it done. But to be able to operate without argument, without a lot of failure, without a lot of problems, or I won't do this, or you won't do that, and this, that, and the other, and have that animosity, you got to earn that credit. They have to respect that when you open your mouth to speak, it will be valuable. That's what people look to leadership for and heads of family. They look for value in their words and, more importantly, and in their efforts. And if you can't do anything about something, stop worrying about it. Just do the things you can do something about now. That's it. You know, if I squeeze you right now, just start squeezing you, Bobbi. I'm not gonna squeeze, money out of you. I'm not gonna squeeze lemon juice. I'm gonna squeeze blood. So you can't squeeze too hard. So the things you need and want in life, you will get them if you just do it in a manner that you're emphatically clear, not angry, not 0 to 60. And we're going to work on that anger management in a while. But let's just give you a quick tip, then we'll go into another narrative I want you to explain to the audience, okay? And that's this. And this is not an admonishment. I am not trying to penalize you for anything. As a matter of fact, I think it takes a great deal of courage. I don't want to compare it with combat or military or any of that kind of stuff, but to be a mom, it takes a lot of courage. It's a different kind of work, but it takes a lot of courage to head up a family and try to keep everybody on the right track and worry about them and stay up at night and fall asleep exhausted and wake up and take charge again and that's hard. I watched my mother do it with 6 kids. Trust me, that's hard. I have a great deal of appreciation for that. How do you do it every day, Bobbi? How do you wake up and take charge every day with your family?
I just get up and do it.
Talk me through it. Talk us through it. Talk us through it.
I set my alarm. I get up. I turn the coffee pot on, pour my coffee, let the dogs out, use the bathroom, and then I start thinking about what I'm going to do next. Does Robert got to get up for work? Does Montez got any? I mean, does people got appointments in my house? Where's William going to apply for jobs at? What do I need to remind Whitney of a court date? And she's all the way up in Mansfield. Does Kiana got a game I got to go to? Like, this thing start brainstorming in my mind.
Do you take notes?
Well, I will take notes. I'm a lister. Okay. If it's something I need to remember, I'll post it. Good. And so, and then it just somehow by process of, I don't know how I do it, but it just filters all down and then stacks up the way that it's supposed to. And I think it's because I've done it so long that it just come naturally, but my routine is get your feet on the floor, get everything set up. Once I get to my meditation and I'm reading my books, everything starts becoming clear, and I focus on my prayer for the day, and I just focus on my just being in the moment. And then it starts where's that thought go? Okay, is that important? Nope, and it's just a process.
Just start to fall in place.
Yeah.
Okay, so
doesn't matter
have a routine.
Doesn't matter if I'm exhausted. Doesn't matter, because there's still stuff that has to be done every day. Like, my dogs depend on me every morning to let them out because I am the first one up. Like, it's just things like that. Like, it just happens. It just goes. Is there times when I am tired at 8 o'clock? Yep. But do I go to bed at 8 o'clock? No, because it takes me 2 hours to wind down. So I might start winding down at 8, but usually it's not until about 9:30 or 10. So, and then 5 or 6.
Winding down means having a drink or doing what you do. Just meditating.
Just stretching my legs all the way out in my bed. That's my relax. All the way as far as I can stretch them. And that's
plaster yourself to your bed.
That's it. And I got so I'm a pillow and a blanket feely kind of person. I got probably 10 or 12 pillows of my own, and I go through blankets, and once they get the soft part off of them, I don't want them anymore. So then I'll swap them out, and then my dogs get them. And then the other ones go in the trash because they get hard after you
warm them down. After you warm them down a little bit. Well, that sounds like a good routine. It's very dynamic, though. I mean, you have a dynamic routine. Go ahead, tell me. So
pillows and blankets is my relaxation. Like, I like to be comfortable.
That's excellent. Now, let me ask you a question. When you're going through your routine during your day and you get to the point where you know you need to plaster in your bed and then you don't because there are other things still to do that overlap, tell me something. Um, is there a time when you're thinking in your head that maybe you can put this off, this overlap time, till tomorrow, or whatever those things that need to
Of
be done?
course, there's that little voice in my head. And you know what? I remind myself of all the times that I put stuff off and bad things happen.
Procrastination. Okay.
Yep. So I can't afford it.
Okay. So
I
you
can't.
muscle through.
I muscle through.
Okay.
So anything that after, 30 or 40 minutes after I've meditated and just kind of just be in the moment, anything that I know that I have to do, I get it done.
Well, that's
If
good.
it's one of the things that in that 30 or 40 minutes that I know that can wait till tomorrow or wait until the weekend, because if I get a too long of a list, I ain't gonna get none of it done.
That's my
So I
whole point I'm trying to go back to in your day. I think sometimes we
okay.
put so much on ourselves because we are so responsible for life and what
Yeah.
goes around us. I think we put
I
a
see I learned that the hard way.
yeah,
If I get too much, not doing it all.
got it. And I think
And
that has more to do with time management than anything else and how you
yeah.
manage your time. If you are a lister, you should become a calendar lister where you put things in your calendar and you put time frames for it and you allow those to overlap with one another so you can get things accomplished. There you go. And I think that's very
With
important.
stickers, with important things.
Okay, you got to
Yeah.
stay on your own schedule sometimes, and that'll keep you sane. But at the same
Yeah.
time, the object should be to reduce that list as much as you possibly can over time as things start to take care of themselves. So your whole idea of being a leader is teaching people how to fish instead of keep fishing for them. And so if you teach the people around you how to operate and show them in your environment with respect, listening to them and tolerance and patience, and you show them how you want things done and give valid reason, very valid, because cleanliness is next to godliness and keeping things in order help other people move their day along. And the
That's
last
my
thing you
number
want to
one
do is
thing.
drop dead. The last thing you want to do is drop dead from overworking. So chances are, you need to start approaching your list differently to see how many allies and collaborators you can find with your list to help you now so you can go to work and come home to an environment that was the same when you left that morning and it wasn't chaotic and it was in order and it was something that made you feel good about getting home. That's what you'll need in the workplace. You'll need to have that
Yeah,
thought.
because I will go find my own place
I
by
understand.
myself.
Remember, our decision-making process should
Yeah.
not be based, no decision should be based, I don't think, no decision should be based solely on emotions. It should be based on, and this is the advice I've always given anyone since I can remember, and that is um, always exhaust every measure you can to make something work before you give up on it, before you say, I will go move. Because when you do that, you're benchmarking yourself to an end. You're giving an ultimatum. People never, no one you'll ever meet in your life will ever respond well to an ultimatum. Even if they do it or not, they will never respond well to it. And you create animosity, enemies, and problems from ultimatums. However, if you're being emphatically clear and you're not giving ultimatums, but people know that there's a possibility that you will no longer be in the circumstance with them if they don't, straighten up and fly right or fly in a direction where we're all flying together. Remember the we thing. I think that because whenever you do something out of emoting a feeling or emotions, whenever you do anything like that, And once you calm down and you come back to your own normal, your own reality, when you do that, you're going to have regrets, and you're going to have remorse, and you're going to become reticent to that change of fixing it because you've had to make a decision and you'll look like a fool if you go back on it. So be careful. I'm just saying, be very careful when you're saying, I will move, because now you've just told the world.
I've given it great thought.
Okay, and I
I'm
understand.
telling you that.
I understand. But with the whole idea of being in norm therapy is let's find a normal for Bobbi, not my normal. I'm giving you this information just because it's a good idea that you know this.
Yeah.
But I don't live your life. I'm not in your shoes. I do not wake up in your bed in the morning. I do not walk your path. I do not go to work for you. I do not deal with your children for you. That's not what I do. But since you're the one that does that, then I should try my best in every aspect of your life to not control you. That's not what I'm trying. I'm not trying to say, okay, do it like I'm telling you because I think I'm smart and I think you should come along with me. No, I'm offering you a more dynamic way of getting things done that serves you. See, the last thing, and this is what I want to talk more to you about real quick before we get into another narrative here, was, the last thing you ever think about, Bobbi, and it's your fault. The last thing you ever think about is you.
Yeah.
This is your biggest problem. The last thing you ever do in any conversation we ever have is think of yourself. And that's not being selfless. There's a different way to think of yourself, to be selfless. You're not being selfish either, but you're being closed-minded and myopic, because those parameters you set for yourself over all of these years work for Bobbi. Even if it hurts you to get home and still have 2 more hours of stuff to do before you wind down, even if it's terrible that you have to do something you don't want to do, even if it's 8 o'clock in the morning, you got to let your dogs out, you don't think of you. And this is a big problem. So there's a suggestion I have for you. If you don't start including you in the remedy of things, and also in the remedy of others, if you don't include yourself, you're going to be hurt more and more and more and more. You have to start thinking of Bobbi and not what makes Bobbi happy, but what helps her to be settled and okay with Bobbi. Your inner you, you have this thing called, your id, your ego, and your super ego. And that little voice inside of you is talking to you. And maybe that voice is talking to you through me. And that's why you're here now, to hear another voice, not the tough woman who's had to brave everything all of her life and make these bad choices and then turn around and make some damn good choices in life. And it all just be there. And then she has to sort it out every day. Some of these things can sort themselves out, Bobbi. Some of them can sort themselves out, but you have to set it up to do that. And the only way you'll ever get these things to be sorted is if you think of yourself as a part of everything that's going on, and not just, you can't only be the solution. You have to be part of the problem too. A lot of people like to say, you're wrong, without telling them what they're wrong at, without explaining it to them. And I'm not trying to lecture you today, because I know people sometimes have impatience when it comes to lecturing. But I am talking a lot about this because I know your angst. I know where your heart is right now. I've watched so many people over the years say the same things you do and do the same things, and they end up in a corner. They paint themselves in a corner because they're tough. They paint themselves in a corner because they go places most people don't even endeavor to think about going. They do things and have responses to circumstances that people don't even understand. So you end up alone in a corner, and it's the world against you. And that's not your fault either. That's the fault of the environment.
But is it really? Because I see it in a different light.
Okay, good. Show me.
I see it in a different light, to where the people who I'm connected to can see the person that I was premarital, when I was again successful in my life, doing things in a successful manner, post prison
Mm-hmm.
and premarital was the best time of my life. Wasn't dating, wasn't doing any of that. Just a really good mix of different things that have been, I wouldn't say cutting off, but taken away because of a commitment. And quite frankly, right now, where I'm at with it, it's really about here. And it could go either way. And, the saying, if you keep doing the same things over and over and over, you're going to get the same results, only they're getting worse. Not for me, for the other party. Because, see, I'm building myself back up because I'm not going to I don't worry about somebody else building me up. I've learned how to do it myself. And that's through trials and tribulations. That's through patting my own self on the back when I need it. That's through seeking out the answers when I don't have them. So there's a lot of people and places and things that I used to do that I can't do anymore that's taking away from who I am.
I understand. And everybody should have that place they go to that's just for them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the term, it's always darkest before the light?
I've heard it.
Do you know where that comes from?
Well, I could only imagine going through a tunnel.
Okay. That's a good guess, but not the right one. But it's okay. That was pretty good. That way, here comes it's light. That does make sense. But here's where it actually comes from. There's a thing called before morning nautical twilight, BMNT, before morning nautical twilight. It means just prior to the sun rising, that glimmer of brightness that you first see, before that glimmer, it will always be the darkest. And this nautical twilight is always, and there's another one called, and in the evening you have end of evening nautical twilight, EENT. You have BMNT for morning and EENT at night. And these two twilight zones, so to speak, is when it's the darkest. And there's you can read it in Farmer's Almanac, I think, and other periodicals around the world. You can find out for your area where you are right now in Ohio, it can tell you what that darkest time of the day is. And people say that because once they see the light, it's normally a sense of relief. My day has started. A sense of angst. Oh my God, I got to go to work. A sense of joy. I get to see my dogs and take them outside. A sense of caring. My kids need to go to school. There's always a renewed sense of something during the BMNT or the EENT or that darkest before the light. Always. And that's what most people in their adages or their sayings and in their folklore are trying to convey, that it will get its darkest before things are okay. And sometimes you have to take issues all the way to the end. And you want to know why BMNT and EENT is so important? Because that's the best time to attack. I learned this in the military some years ago in special forces, but that's the best time to attack, is that's when the enemy can see the least, because it's so dark. You've been sitting there waiting on this darkness. And so you have this thing in your eyeball. It's called purple. And it's purple in your, not the color purple, but it's a little thing in your eyeball that adjusts your night vision for you. And the more you look at the darkness and move your eye around in a circular or up and down fashion or left and right fashion, the clearer your darkness become. So if we equate and use that to life. If you touch this microphone, it goes off. So I apologize. But if we equate that same logic to life, that we keep moving, we keep being dynamic, we keep looking around, we keep looking for solutions, we keep finding clarity, we continue to make things work so we can see better, even though they can't, because they don't know how to move their eyes around. They don't know how to change up. They don't know how to exhaust measures. They don't know how to just make those changes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call you out right this minute for something great you've done. And that's indicative of you. On your t-shirt, it says change maker.
Yeah.
That's who you need to be. You need to be the change maker. People will never change, Bobbi. It doesn't matter. Good husband, good kids, bad husband, bad dogs, good dogs. It doesn't matter. You know why your dogs respect you and they can't wait for you to get up in the morning and put them out the house so they can go poop
I'm a
and pee?
good mom. I'm a
Because
good dog.
they know that. They live on that, and they're being very basic and instinctive about it. You have to be that with everybody. You have to say, okay, I'm opening the door now, and you better be up and ready because we need to make sure the beds are made before you leave, and we got to get your books on the table and get you ready for the door so we can get you out to school. I have to be at work in 30 minutes, and husband, love you, get up to bed, help me take everybody out, and just start you change. Once you change, not that you're not doing these things already, but if they know you're doing it because you're mad, or because you're disappointed in them, or because you're intolerant, or whatever. If they know that, then you're not going to make friends while asking people to be a part of the solution. You're not going to make friends. You'll get nothing but reticence. People will do nothing but give you resistance to everything. They'll be reticent to change. They'll be reticent to listen to you. They'll be reticent to everything. Or they will start becoming your ally and your collaborators if you make them feel that it warms your heart that we have this routine, that we can all live here together with some organization. And you can come home from work, because this is going to happen, Bobbi. You need to be able to come home to work to an environment where you don't have to start working again.
Now, if Montez is really good about if I'm not here, he's really good about keeping
Taking
house.
care of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's one good ally you have. That is one good ally. But we're going to talk more about that in the future. But let's look at it this way. Handing off responsibility to someone else while you're gone, or sharing, better said, that responsibility, whether you're there or not, is normal. It's very normal. I think your life is a lot more normal than you think it is in a lot of ways. Is how you're responding to it sometimes, and being intolerant or going from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat. I think that's causing you a lot of your pain, because I'm listening between the lines and I'm reading between the lines as well. But I tell you, you got a lot going on. But if you look at the lives of other people, maybe they've not gone through the tremendous background that you have, because it's overwhelming, the things you have been through in your life. Maybe they've not gone through that, but and for me to sit here and even say to you these words, that a lot of aspects of your life are very normal, means that you went from that tremendously bad situation and brought normalcy to an environment where people didn't have your nurturing, and they didn't have and you're constantly being there for them. They didn't have your wisdom to live by, or your cleanliness rules, or anything. But you walk right back in that situation. You brought it as much normal back to it as possible. You're not wrong. You're just taking a lot of your moxie with you, and a lot of your intimidation with you, and you're taking a lot of your pain with you, which is not at all a bad thing all the time, but sometimes it is a bad thing. So no one's trying to tell you what to do, Bobbi. I think anyone who tells you what to do in a relationship is a problem. But if they tell you that what you're doing is wrong because it hurts them, and you continue to do it, then you're part of the problem. So you have to change you if you want anybody in your household or at work or anywhere else to change. Tell me, what do you plan on doing when you come home from work Monday night? What do you want that home to look like and feel like and smell like, and on your happiness meter? Remember, tactile, the vision, the smells, the listening, all of that into what makes you happy, content, and of course, not content.
I mean, just to be real honest, I want it to be just like it would be if I wasn't here.
And
You
that
know,
is?
I'm I any dish that I dirty, immediately I wash it, put it in the drain. You know, if Montez dirties the dishes, put it up, put it in the drain. The only dish that's usually there is if it's late at night and they don't, do the dish. There might be one or two bowls in the sink. So I'm not worried about a dirty dish or dirty, dirty house. I'm not worried about that. Everybody does their own laundry, not worried about that. Just to keep on going as if I haven't been gone all day. My dogs will greet me, they'll greet me, keep on rolling. Like I don't expect anything superior to happen to whatever, I don't want to be, oh, I don't want to be bombarded with problems. I want them to figure their own solutions out. And that's what a day looks like. Like life happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not always going to be here.
Is that way for you now, Bobbi, where you can get through your day and people take care of their own problems for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, and that you're in an environment at home where people wash their own dish or they keep things straight? Or if you do leave, that you have your partner, you have your mate, you have your husband that takes the lead, because I don't want to be stereotypic, but normally women are the nurturers in the family, and you guys kind of have more discipline than men most often.
No,
And
he's very disciplined and like we share.
that responsibility. Okay, good. So we're not having that problem over dynamic. So what we're saying is that sometimes, I'm thinking, sometimes when things are not congruent and they're incongruent in your relationship,
Mhm.
when they're not congruent, that you're somehow or another dissatisfied and displeased. Correct?
Yeah, and what I will say, and I say this, and this is what I say to him. And if you live by what you say, and I was at a program, I was in tapestry, and we had a creed that we said every morning
Mm-hmm.
on awareness of reality and choices, communication with others, committed. I still remember that. Okay. And we lived by that. If you follow that, there would never be an argument. There would never be a misunderstanding. There would never be any harsh words, harsh names, nothing. Live by what you believe in. Like, I'll never forget the tapestry philosophy because it made that big of an impact on my life.
And it
You
should
know,
have. Those are powerful words you just said. Those are
and
extremely powerful, Bobbi. They really are.
and so when you live by a creed or a whatever rules, regulations, whatever it is that you choose to live your life by, when you live by that, what you state that you live by, problems wouldn't occur.
That's true. That's very true. But let me ask you a question, because I think those are powerful words to you. Your journey brought you to those words that resonated with you and stuck with you, and they made sense. I can tell you a story on the next time we'll talk about it, but we have a few minutes left. But I'll just say, some people have said some things to me in life that changed the course of my life. Those words were powerful, and I needed them in those moments. And so did you. I think you said some of the most powerful things, but it means something to you, Bobbi. Until you share those words, and the significance and meaning behind those words with the people around you so they can appreciate who you've become as a result of those words and other deeds that you've done. You have to show them that those words are who you are. Not that you've not told them, not that you've not demonstrated to them, but as consistently as possible, show them that those words are you. And don't violate those words. Don't go 0 to 60. That's a violation of that creed because that's an
In this
amazing
chaotic
creed.
society, we will grow.
Yeah, of course we will. But out of chaos comes order. But remember, you're still in chaos. There will be chaos. People like to say, okay, out of chaos comes order. And that's a great stoic term that people use all over the world. But what it really means is that chaos is good. I know it sounds terrible for me to say. Sometimes chaos is so good for you because you get to do something. You get to not put on your blinders and not close off and be so focused on just getting through it that you let go and you open up and everything is a possibility through chaos. And you find order in that chaos. Now you're really doing something. But you have to understand that chaos is a part of the healing process. You're going to go through something to get somewhere. If it were easy to go from point A to point B or to point D or wherever you want to end up, everybody would be doing it. If it were easy, we wouldn't have a reason to be in a session. Everybody would be doing it. But it's not easy. And sometimes people don't know how to initiate or have the initiative to take those steps. That's not you, Bobbi. That's not you by any stretch. You are the person that will take those steps. You will start something. You will be the catalyst. You will be the change maker. But you don't do a great job, my personal and professional opinion, you don't do a great job of making them follow you because you're not leading by example. You're leading through what your belief system, you're leading through what you know, what works for you. You're leading through the life of hell you've been through and the places you've been and the doldrums of hells that you have survived. You're leading through those experiential knowledge bases. And not everybody you're dealing with went through that. So they don't understand how to correlate how you
Let
lead.
them tell if they've been
them.
through worse. So
Yeah.
I ain't been through that. So you
I know.
stick to creed and I stick to mine. And then we
I
have
know.
this.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I understand that. I'm not saying it's your fault. What I'm telling you, this is not about them right now. It's about you and how you interact with them. It's not about them. I don't care what they do. Who cares? If you want them to change.
King baby syndrome.
What'd you call it?
King baby syndrome.
Yeah, that sounds kind of insulting, but I'm gonna say this to you. Let's save this, put a pin in this so we can go to your happiness index next time, but also let's talk about that relationship and how the dynamics of it, because I think it's not about that. I think when people feel threatened and you are a threatening person, not necessarily verbally or physically, but your mere presence, you are a threat. You're not this pushover. When people feel threatened or forced, or they feel like they have to be a certain kind of way just to be around you, then that will cause for misunderstanding and confusion. Not that you're a bad person, has nothing to do with
Goes both ways.
I know.
I don't hang out at bars.
I know.
That's
I
not
know.
me.
I know. But that's not the point. The point is this, and I want to be clear before we wrap up, because this is a heavy topic and I want to get back to it the next time we speak. The point is that in those circumstances, it should never be about anyone but you. So long as you're doing the right thing and you're consistent with it, you do the right things and be tough when you need to be tough. Be strong when you need to be strong. Tamp yourself down and look eye to eye to people and shrink yourself a little bit when you need to do that because you are quite intimidating. So with that being said, sometimes you have to take the lead on how that situation is going to turn out and not just complain about what they do, but keep doing what you do. And after you exhaust every measure to stay there and be a part of that relationship and be a part of those situations, then you can actually leave at some point in the future and not look back and say, I wish I could have, would have, should have, because you did all the things you could do. And we're going to explore those things that you can do that are probably different from what you've been doing. Listen, Bobbi, we have to go, and I apologize. And I talked a lot, but I think this was necessary information for you to have, and I want you to think on it. But lastly, I want to say to our audience, if you, again, understand that I'm supposed to read something verbatim here, and I can never have it up, and I'm always doing something and so involved in our sessions, of course. But I want to say, if you've enjoyed our sessions, of course, tonight, and you got something out of it, please show us some love by sharing this video, subscribing to our channel, and liking it, of course. Please do that and make a comment. It helps us. Our next norm therapy session will be this Sunday, the 14th of July at 6 p.m. 14th, forgive me, of January at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in norm therapy sessions, they can, of course, be purchased at normtherapy.com for $100 per session. Less than traditional counseling charges anywhere in the world. We're very favored by a lot of people. Most individuals spend on average between $120, $30, $150, $200 for a single session. We kind of come out on the bottom end of all of that. So if you're looking for something other than traditional counseling, we're here for you. Bobbi will tell you, well, we don't charge Bobbi for anything of these sessions. We're doing these sessions free of charge, of course, because we want the world to know what it looks like to be involved in a norm therapy session. I talk a lot. Some of our other norm therapists don't, and some of them talk just the right amount. But I think I have a lot to share, and I want Bobbi to get it. And then at some point, as our therapy continues, Bobbi will talk more than me. I hope that time comes shortly. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure seeing you again, Bobbi. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of days, okay?
See you Sunday.
All right, see you then. Have a great
Okay.
day.
Bye-bye.